Hello, this is Walter Schmid speaking, author on the book on super yacht sales, 7 Swiss top secrets to success. But now, today I don't want to talk about me because I've got a great and amazing guest, an internationally well-known and the #1 ring announcer that I know and almost everybody knows, Bruce Buffer. Bruce, I'm so blessed that I have you on my show. Hello, Bruce. How are you?
Hi, Walter. I'm fine. Thank you very much. And talking to you from across the world, and it's a pleasure.
I'm absolutely grateful and I appreciate that you take the time anyway to have an interview with me on my show. And I will go through some questions as well. But first of all, a lot of people, a lot of listeners, especially also in the super yacht industry, may not know you. So to give a short introduction, who are you, by the way? What are you doing? What is your specialty? And what makes you so unique that everybody who's listening to you just love you?
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. Thanks so much. You think that way, my mother thinks that way, I'm happy. You know, first off and first and foremost, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had my first corporation when I was 19 in the telemarketing industry. I've owned a number of other companies and was very successful, done very well. But there was a point in my life when I was in my mid 30s that all the companies I ran and the two companies running at that time, I had the beach house, I had the huge income going back to 1992, 94. And at that time, an epiphany and a change came in my life. I met a man who I watched on TV announcing boxing, and a very debonair James Bond looking individual named Michael Buffer. And they put his name on the screen, and it struck me really funny. And I realized, after, long story cut short, after a lot of investigation, I found out, and when my dad told me that he had had a son during World War II, he never told me about some 43 years before that. It turned out this was my long lost half brother. And we did not grow up together. We met, we all got together, got along famously. I would go to Vegas, watch him announce boxing on business trips, stop off, have a great time. And I watched him one night announcing to a huge audience in 1994 at the first Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield boxing match. And I had an epiphany. I went back to my room and uncontrollably started writing 3 pages of notes of how this saying, "Let's get ready to rumble." He hadn't even so much as made a hat or a t-shirt with it on it. And I wrote down, okay, that, and put him in the NBA courts and the football fields and the soccer fields, every sports and entertainment event around the world, and take this 5 words and trademark it. Make it a trademark protected phrase so it become a clarion call like to the competitive spirit, and put it on the tip of everybody's tongue in American culture, and in turn branch out internationally. And it was a thing I had that night, and I went and met with him and I said, "Michael, I want to make you richer, more famous than you ever dreamed, hopefully myself in the process. I'm going to sell both these companies if you'll let me be your manager to direct your career, and your partner, where we're 50-50, because I want to make video games and toys and movies and TV shows and blah, blah, blah." And he was blown away in so many words. He said, "Well, how are you going to do all this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. But you know what? If I'm going to give all this up, I'll make it happen." And I really believed I could. And I was an underdog at that time. And I've always been an underdog, and I like being an underdog because then when you win, people pay more attention to you because they're all thinking you can't, but I know I can.
Mhm.
So we went out on that journey together, and now some 25 years later, we've sold well into $500 million in license sales, ventures, everything. Made Michael a multi-millionaire. Everything worked out for me, and in turn, I said I wanted to be an announcer, and we agreed that I wouldn't announce boxing. And I've been in martial arts, fighting in various forms since the age of 12. And then the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, came on the scene in '93, in which I put Michael in to announce 3 of the shows, and then had to pull him due to a conflict we had with the wrestling, the entertainment wrestling world at the time. And I convinced the owners to let me become the announcer. And again, a long story cut short, um, I went out, I got a fighter who contacted me. I got him into the UFC. The UFC would not hire me. I went down to Bayamon, Puerto Rico as his manager and convinced the owner to let me announce the preliminary bouts with the tuxedo I had in my luggage. He let me do that. I kept asking for the job and asking for the job and asking for the job till 6 months later, they gave me a chance to announce the first full UFC. Then they hired somebody else. Now, just like in regular business life, when you get knocked down, like Rocky says, you stand up, you move forward, and you punch harder than ever, right? To win the battle. That's what the underdog is all about. Then I got a call to appear on the TV show Friends and co-star as myself, which was all about the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the show they did. I took that as a tool to meet with the owner and say, look, I'm on the biggest show on TV comedy wise, and I'm the announcer co-starring as myself as the announcer. What does that tell you? I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the prom, and I'm not getting asked. So I'm going to ask you one more time. I need to be your announcer. I have the media contacts to help you build this brand, but I need to grow with you as the announcer to do that. And that was the best poker hand I ever played in my life. And I announced every UFC for the next 20 years until there were so many, they brought in a backup announcer to announce maybe 6 shows a year, but I still do 35 or more. And it's been an incredible ride. So the key to that thing is I always ask for the job. I set a goal. I go after it. I analyze it, learn as much as I can about it, and I play that game of chess thinking 3 steps ahead in every move I make. And that's what helped me win this war. And with that, managing my brother, in sports and entertainment, I've appeared in movies and TVs. I've created products. I run right now many different ventures, including one I'll show you. Mm-hmm. This is my new bourbon called Puncher's Chance that I just came out with in America. It's the highest quality bourbon in the market. Yeah. I've worked over a year to make this happen. You might have heard Ryan Reynolds, the actor, just sold his gin company for $600 million. That's where we're going with this. It's already out of the gate, a big, huge success. Another business that I created for myself. So what I do is the UFC, Michael, the boxing ring, for me, the octagon and the UFC. I told Michael to stay in the boxing ring and I will build everything out of it for him. The octagon is my base, which I built my brand, my It's Time brand, my image, my voice and everything. I get hired for movies and TV and all that using my voice. I do videos for businesses and individuals all around the world because virtual marketing and virtual business is so big these days with COVID-19 around the world. And it will be big forever because it's a great way to cover a lot of territory in business without having to get on a plane or go do new meetings. So when you're in your business, like I am in mine, you have to have a base. You build from the base, right? And that base, for me, is always geographically. My goal is to make everybody within 1 mile of my office my customer. Because if you do that, you're a multi-millionaire, right? So you start with your base, you start in your geographical area, and you branch out from there. And it's simple rules that I followed my entire life in every business I've been in, and it works. There's really no secrets. You know, there are secrets if you create them, but if you stick to the simple plans of marketing and simple plans of business and you're diligent, consistent in your efforts, and you have a product that obviously is a good product, that's very important. Very, very key, very simple things.
Now, you have done a lot of things and doing still a lot of things. Now, in these terms, how important do you see the coaching now in such a business to run a business professionally or for a long term and consistently? How important is coaching?
Coaching is very important because think about the players on the team. The coach tells them what to do. They get out there, they do it, they got to keep doing it to perfect it. And sometimes they need a little motivation in that process. They need somebody to motivate them. So the coach has to step back in, maybe reiterate the principles and the theories that were the basic things he taught him or she taught him before, because the client or your coworker forgot or maybe lost track. So a good coach, that's what a coach does. A coach keeps everybody on the straight path. If you sway off the path, the coach's job is to bring you back to that path. If you're the person that's on that path and you realize you're swaying, then just like somebody calls their psychologist to get them back on track on something, you get back with your coach and get back on the trail, right? People look to their gods and religion. They look to their parents. They look to other things for support and motivation. Well, that's what a coach can be for you in business. But just like a teacher, when you start a class, if you don't like the teacher, you don't want to go to the class. So you have a coach you respect, you appreciate what they say, and you want them to continue coaching you. And if you don't feel comfortable with your coach, then get another coach.
Okay. Makes sense. Absolutely. Now, as coaching is one part that a lot of people here as well in Switzerland started to do, there are the products as well still, which also JT tells a lot that there's not only the coaching part, there's also business doing businesses. Like you do a lot of businesses as well. You have not only one business, you actually diversified it based on the base, as you have said, you spread it out from the central out to the world with different products that fit somehow to your brand. Now, to find this key or this base, and you see there is not really a secret. And what I realized a little bit is you don't prepare yourself too much by thinking or overthinking. If you have something in mind, then you just go and make it happen. Even as you have said before, you didn't know maybe what's going on or how it will be as a final result, but you just felt and you have the confidence to say, I can do it. Whatever comes up, I can learn it. Is that something that you would take as an or give as an advice for every entrepreneur that they should not think too much, but listen or feel in the gut? And if they feel comfortable, they just go for it and be persistent until they succeed.
Yeah, that's all a big part of it. It's similar to the fact that JT talks about the 1%, I talk about the 2%. Basically, I believe that 98, we all dream. We all dream about what we want in life. 98% of the people keep dreaming. 2% of the people put it into action. Those 2%, or call it the 1% as JT does, which is fine too. They're the leaders. They're the ones making the most money. You know, life is like a pyramid, okay? And I don't mean a pyramid scam, okay? The family is a pyramid with the parents at the top leading down to the family tree. The corporation is a pyramid with the president, the CEOs, the vice president on top, leading down to the people that answer the phones, that pack the boxes, whatever. Every bit of that pyramid is important because if you don't support the base falls apart and the pyramid falls down, right? But the 2% that saw that business happening, or the 1%, they're the ones at the top. They're the ones that are leading the way for everybody else to follow. Life cannot be made up solely of leaders. You have to have followers. And there's nothing negative about being a follower. It's about knowing where your place is in life and about being the best you can be when you set on that path in life. Because if everybody just does their job as best they can, whether some people are superior or not, then you're winning because you're doing the best job you can, right? But you have to, the first thing is, if you don't write it down, it's not going to happen, okay? Got to write your thoughts down. Keep records, whatever your theory of, or system is. But yes, it's one thing to think, but you have to put it into action. But you also need to do your homework first to know everything about what you're going to put into action. And when you go out there and you do something and you say first time you don't do something right, that's not a mistake. That's a learning experience. Okay, you learn from that. If you do that again, then it's a mistake, right? And you say, damn, I made a mistake. Well, don't make a mistake again. Okay. In the entertainment industry and in the sports industry, we call it reps, right? The more times you do something, the more reps you get, the better you'll get at it. Well, you're not going to get good at anything unless you do it or try. And don't be afraid to fail, okay? Because you don't know success until you know how to fail, okay? It's a very key thing, and we've all failed. I don't think anybody's had 100 million successes in a row without any failure, unless you're talking to our president, Donald Trump, who will tell you he probably did. We all know he didn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to get political on the call. But yes, life is about doing. It's about thinking, learning, and doing, putting it into action. Or what I say is BSC, which is called balls, skill, and confidence.
Yeah.
If you're lacking one of those three items before you set on that path, don't step on the path. Get your BSC in order, get out there, stand tall, be a product of your products. You have to be a product of your products. You have to believe in your product, okay? Go out there and go to work. And then you need that 20% luck factor. We all need that 20% luck factor.
Well, thank you very much for all this information. You actually just covered some other questions that I had prepared, so we can wrap up those questions already. And there's only one last question, and this is, what are your upcoming goals and dreams, visions that you still want to reach out for? What is the contribution maybe you will bring into the world for the rest of the time you are being here, which is hopefully a long time?
I hope so. Thank you. You know, my goals are to fulfill the business bucket list that I have. My bourbon's coming out. I have a line of energy products coming out next year. I have my own cologne and facial product line coming out next year. Internationally, it'll be available in Switzerland too.
Cool.
Yes, with my moniker, It's Time, my trademark. It's all part of it. I'm very excited about all these projects. But you know, that's business, and I always have a monetary goal in mind. But my goal is to stay healthy, to be able to provide for my family, and again, getting back to my 3-foot theory, to allow my family and my loved ones to prosper and be happy and live in this, you know, a safe life in this insane twilight zone world that we're all living in right now. Because I'm afraid that this COVID-19 pandemic situation is not going to go away for a long time. So we need to embrace it. We need to work with it and lead our lives as best we can. But goals for me are personally is more love in my life, spending time with people that I do love, and taking more time for myself. I've been a workaholic my whole life, and I've enjoyed myself in many, many ways. I've had adventures and trips that people dream of, right? And I cherish all of them. But I don't live my life thinking about what I did last week. I'll never talk about that. I'm only as good as I am today. When I walk in that octagon on show night, I have to prove to everybody that night that I deserve that job. Right? Don't talk about what I did 2 years ago. And I recommend that people don't get caught up in their laurels. Your sales figures, your stats, things you've done in the past, they speak for themselves. But every day you wake up, it's time to have the best day possible and be the best person. So I want to improve as a person. I want to improve and learn more. Even at 63, I want to learn more. And I just want to sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labors and my life with my loved ones. It's a very key factor for me.
That's wonderful. Really, I appreciate also that you spread information with me about personal thing, which is not for me something that everybody does. So that's very, very kind from you. Thank you very much. I appreciate really your personality, and I hope one day we will meet personally. Who knows? Never know.
Never know. You never know. I'm an international traveler. I live a life like James Bond. I get a call. I put a tuxedo in a bag. I go to a city, hopefully find a casino, maybe kiss a pretty girl and come home. That's a joke, but you know what I'm saying.
Of course. I completely understand.
Yeah.
I can undersign that one as well. However, thank you very much, Bruce. It was really an honor, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. It's for me not just something regularly to have someone like you on the on the interview. And I thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Walter. I appreciate it. I can tell that you're driven. I can tell that you're sincere, and I can tell that you seem to be a people person. These are key factors. And when people talk to you and they realize that in you, they'll be more comfortable with you, right? But then again, don't forget, play the cards, play the player. Okay, understand who you're talking to, and talk to them as an equal, right? And celebrate them when they buy your product as an equal.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. It's amazing advice as well for me personally and for everybody who's listening here. Now, by this saying that, we come to the end from this interview. Thank you very much for the listeners as well. This was the interview with the amazing Bruce Buffer. You'll find him anyway, everywhere on the internet if you want to know who this person is. And he is a really lovely, kind personality. That's what I can say. And I'll see you on the next interview. This was Walter Schmid, award-winning author on the book on Super Yacht Sales. Have a great time. Be safe. Take care. And see you next time.